By now, you've probably all seen the horrific tragedy that happened in Tumbler Ridge, BC, where one of our worst mass shootings in the country happened in a small town in British Columbia. But instead of helping the victims before any information was released about who did it, the right wing in Canada jumped at the opportunity to try and blame trans people. At the time, we had no information and it didn't matter what the facts were, they just wanted to vilify trans people and shared pictures of random trans people out there in order to endanger their life and in order to vilify my community. It's only in the last hour or so that the RCMP finally confirmed the identity of an 18-year-old girl who is trans. Though her identity shouldn't matter, the right doesn't care about the victims or what happened, and now I have to spend time here trying to debunk whatever hell they're trying to put the community through because of a horrific tragedy that happened. And instead of spending more time trying to talk about the victims and trying to focus on helping the victims, I have to sit here and try to clear the record because some people don't care. They just want to hurt trans people at all costs. Here are the facts. We don't have the same gun culture here, and we also have gun control measures that are far stricter than in the US. That being said, the weapons were more likely coming from a family member, from what I can read from the CBC, pointing to an easier access to weapons that shouldn't have been as easy as it was. But I'll let them do the investigation on that part. Now let's look at the numbers. We don't have gender identity numbers when it comes to shooting in Canada, but we do have them in the US, and 99.9% of all shootings happen at the hands of cis people, with 98% of them at the hands of cis men. So if we want to point the fingers at identity somewhere, it's cis men, not trans people, and not cis women, because trans people account for 0.1% of those from the statistics that we have available. And again, gender identity shouldn't matter in this situation. We're talking about a mass atrocity that happened in Canada, that the right is trying to politicize, to vilify a community that statistically commits incredibly few of these. And instead of talking about potential solutions, about what we can do to stop these atrocities from happening, I'm here talking about her identity that matters very little, again, in this situation. Because something that's conveniently ignored by the very same people who are screaming trans about what happened is the fact that some of the alleged accounts that are tied to her were Nazi posting online, pointing to a radicalization of a young person to the far right, and if this is her account, she's celebrating eradication of a certain ethnic group. So if you want to look anywhere, you can look in the mirror next time you want to try and blame someone for what happened. And instead, we have conversations that are far more pressing about the isolation of young people in rural areas, having drop-in crisis centers accessible to people who live in these rural areas. There are things that we need to address as well, like poverty, easier access to mental health professionals, and about education for young ones who can be radicalized online so easily. Those are the conversations we should be having, instead of scapegoating a community that's already enduring enough, not just in Canada, but around the world. Now, if you actually care about the victims and their families, the Tumbler Ridge Association has released this to help the families who are currently grieving and help those affected by this, such as funeral costs, mental health support, and other things. And my heart is with you all over there in BC.